Happy morning, dear friends. Here's yours, Dr. Rajanta. Welcome to Demystify with Ajay. Today we are in tutorial 3. See here, dear friends, in the previous session, you have just learned how to express numbers and operators and variables. Now, what about words? So, in Python, anything that goes between single quotes or double quotes, it considered a string. So, strings are commonly used to express words, but they have many others use, including displaying information to the user and retrieving information from a user. So in this session, you will gain proficiency with a string by examining string methods, string concatenation, and few useful built-in string functions. Okay, let me just see it with an example. Here, let me just see in string syntax. See, dear friends, although strings may use single or double quotes, a given string must be internally consistent. That is, if a string starts with a single quote, it must end with the single quotes. The same is true for double quotes. Let me just see it by the example. See here, dear friends, this includes something valid and invalid strings also is provided. Kindly have a look of it. The first one, we are just entering a valid string. That is, we are just giving a string variable bookstore and we assigning a string value, that is city lights. And here we started with a single quotes and ended with a single quotes. So it is a valid string. And when seeing to the next cell, see here how we have just made it is this exact string where we have started it with the single quotes but ended it with a double quotes, and so the error arises. And if you start with single quote, you must end with the single quote. Since the string has not been completed, you receive the syntax error. Okay, next let me just see it one more valid string format. And see here, dear friends, now you need to enter a valid string format again by with a single quotes also. So and see here, when on just making this, yeah, it is accepted. Yeah, the string starts and end with double quotes. Anything can be inside the quotation marks except for more quotation marks also. Okay, and how it makes an invalid. See here, if it is starting with double quotes and ending with a double quotes, yeah, it seems as valid. But when on just making it with a single quotes, and if you are just giving the quotes mark inside it, it seems that it is invalid because the exact the yes has been separated. Okay, and kindly just see, yeah, we get the error as invalid syntax. And how this problem has been solved. See, actually you started and ended with single quotes and then you added an yes and another single quote. So a couple of question arises. The first is whether single or double quote should be used. The answer is that it depends on developer preference. So double quotes are more traditional and they can be used to avoid potential problematic situation such as the aforementioned as his Moses example. So single quotes eliminate the need to press the shift key as like that. So in this exercise, I think you have just learned the correct and incorrect ways of assigning strings to variable and including the single and double quotes. And let me just make one more thing here. Here we are just going to add with the backslash character. See, Python uses the backslash character, which we just call the escape sequence in strings, which is allow for the insertion of any type of codes inside of strings. And see here, dear friends, when on just providing that, here how an escape sequence work with the codes, and the backslash overrides the single quotes as an end quote and allow it to be interpreted as a single character. And so here it becomes the valid one. And the next comes the multi-line strings. See here, dear friends, short strings always display nicely. But what about multi-line strings? It can be cumbersome to define a paragraph variable that includes a string over multiple lines. In some IDEs, the string may run off the screen and it may be difficult to read. In addition, it might be advantageous to have line breaks at specific points for the user. So when strings need to span some multiple lines, Python provides triple quotes using single or double quotation marks as a nice quote. And here, see here, dear friends, we have just given a thing with triple quotes. And here is the thing where you can include multi-line strings. Next comes the print function. See, the print function is used to display information to the user or to the developer. And it's the one of the Python's most widely used built-in function. Let me just see some examples under it. And first of all, we are just going to have, so that is here we have defined the greeting variable with the value hello, and I just want to print it. And when on just making, see here, greeting is the variable where we have just given the string as hello, okay, the value, and I just want to print it, that is to display it onto that by using the print function. So here it just makes it. And when on just showing it, see the hello which it just shows in the display does not include single quotes. This is because the print function is generally intended for the user to print the output. And when you just want to make use of it, yeah, you can just provide the greeting, and here it just gives, yeah, when we input greeting without the print function, we are obtaining the encoded value, hence the quotes appears. And let me just go for some more examples. See here, dear friends, when the preceding cell is executed, the preceding code does not display this Spanish greeting. And kindly just have a note of it here. When I'm just making this, it didn't make the Spanish greeting to be displayed, because if the code were run on a terminal as three separate lines, it would display hello, the string assigned to Spanish greeting. So the same would be true if the preceding sequence of code were run in three separate cells in a Jupyter notebook. So for consistency, it's useful to use print function anytime information should be displayed. Let me just make it with a single cell. See here, dear friends, when we just make this, yeah, here we are getting the output. And to the same, yeah, if we just go for the Arabic greeting, yeah, we are just getting it. So the compiler runs through each line in order. So every time it arrives at the print function, it displays the information. Okay, next let me move on to the next topic, string operation and concatenation. So the multiplication and addition operators work with string as well. So in particularly, the plus operator combines two strings into one and is referred as the string concatenation. And this asterisk operator, which we just say use for multiplication, so repeats a string. So here let me just see it with some examples on this concatenation. And see here, dear friends, when on just making, here we are having a Spanish greeting, and this is the variable where we assigned a string variable hello to it. And when on making one more value to be concatenated, we are using the plus operator. And on displaying that information, we just get in between. And see here, dear friends, we didn't get it when on just using the plus operator, it didn't include the space. So if you need, yeah, purposely you have to include the space, whether in the variable declaration or variable the value you are just going to make it inclusion. So somewhere if you just make it, yeah, here we get the exact displayed information. And the next, let me just see the example related with this multiple of operator. And see here, dear friends, when I just want this exact value, which I have just assigned for a string variable greeting, it has to be displayed 5 times. Yeah, you can just make it by repeating it. How many times? I just need it in 5 times. So when on just providing this, yeah, it just repeats 5 times. And see here, dear friends, here we didn't provide any space in between. So if you want to differentiate, yeah, if you want to make it as a 5 times, here in variable assigning itself, I have just left a space purposely, and now on repetition, it just shows the exact information separately. Okay, next let me just move on to string interpolation. Dear friends, when writing strings, you may want to include variables in the output. So string interpolation includes the variable names as placeholder with the strings. So there are two standard method of achieving this interpolation. One is comma separator and next one is the format. This comma separator variables may be interpolated into strings using comma to separate clauses. So it's similar to the plus operator, which just expect it adds spacing for you. Okay, and let me just see it with an example. Dear friends, see here, I'm just going to have an Italian greeting. So this is the exact string variable, and where I just want to need it in between here. So when I just want to make it in between, yeah, I can just provide it in the print function, and let me include it inside the functionality. And see here, dear friends, by using this comma operator, I can make use of this variable, string variable, to be displayed here, that is inserted here, and here we just get the output. And next one is the format. See, with format, as with commas, to the same like commas, this Python types, whether it's integer or floats and so on, are converted into strings upon execution. So the format is accessed by using brackets and a dot notation. And kindly have a note of it, dear friends, how this is happening. See here, I'm having two variables. One is the string variable and another is an integer variable age. And where I need this, and see here if I just give you the bracket, which you just making it as like this is the one bracket, and for this bracket I want to display the owner, the variable, and under the string variable owner. So this has to come first. And next I'm just giving one more bracket, so where the second variable has to be displayed. And when I'm just making this concatenation inside the format, so how the exact output would be displayed? The founder of City Lights bookstore, Lawrence Friedrich, is now 100 years old. And see, this is how the output. And see here, dear friends, you can also change the exact order of it. And see when how it just works is, first you have to ask the same, you have to define your variables. Next, in the given string, use this bracket in place of each variables, and at the end of the string add a dot. And after the dot, then followed by the format keyword, you have to give inside the parenthesis the list of each variable in desired order of appearance. And here I just want my age value to be the desired in first, and then comes to that of owner variable. So here how it just looks is, see here, so as I have just given the age in first, my age format, that is the value 100 displayed first. So this is how you will look at the built-in function, built-in strings are there. Let me just explore the next one, length function. See, there are many built-in functions that are particularly useful for string. One such function is len, which we just say it short for length. So the length function determines the number of characters in a given string. So note that the length function will also count any blank spaces in the given string. And let me just have it. See, previously we have just given an Arabic greeting, and yeah, let me go and have a look onto that above. Here it is ours. So see here, when on just making this Arabic greeting, how many length, or that is the how many characters are there, and see here dear friends, it is also inclusion of the space and to that dot too. So whatever inside this quotes would be added or counted as the length of the string. So here when on just making it, yeah, it just gives the 16. And next is the string method. And dear friends, kindly have a note, all Python types including strings have their own methods, and these methods generally provide shortcuts for implementing useful tasks. So methods in Python, as in many other languages, are accessed via dot notation, and you can also use a new variable or as like name to access a variety of methods. Let me just see it by using the functionality. See here dear friends, here we are just having a function just specifying name. Okay, and here what we just making, we are making a variable name and providing a value curry. And yeah, let I just execute it. And how we can just access it, and see here this one I just show you. When on just making the name, now I just press my dot and a tab, and see this tab option, accessing on the tab option, you are able to have this one. So from this you can just select what the option do you want, and here you can just make use of capitalizing, casfold, center, count, and so many are there. And if you want to have some more as like is alpha num, is alpha, is decimal, to just know whether it is a alpha or not, or whether if it is just going to give you whether it is a digit or not, is it lower or not. So here what I need is, let I just make it as a lower. So on clicking this, okay, so when I'm just providing, yeah, it just gives it in lower case. Yeah, you can also have it by the capitalizing. And see here dear friends, what is the meaning of capitalizing is in the sense the first letter, the first exact character of the value would alone be in capital, that is in uppercase. So that gives the capitalizing. And you can also make use of the uppercase, where every value in the string would just gives you the in uppercase. Okay, next you can also have a count of numbers or some instance. And yeah, when on just making this, if you just want to know what is the exact occurrence of this zero, sorry, here it is O. Okay, even though here what you have just given in the name, yeah, it is in the capitalized form. So if you want to make it as what is the occurrence of O, it results with 1. And here, after uppercase only, it is just making this function of uppercase of O. So kindly just don't get confusion with this. Now, let me just make the same thing by one more example. If you just want to know how many occurrence in this cap happy, let me just make it, yeah, the Y here we are just getting thrice. So in this exercise, you have learned about a variety of string methods, including this lower, capitalizing, upper, and the count. And see here, dear friends, methods may only be applied to their representative types. For instance, the lower method only works on string, not integers or float. But contrast, built-in functions such as length and printf can be applied to a variety of types. So methods do not change the original variable unless we explicitly reassign the variable. So the name has not been changed despite the method that we have applied. Okay, now let me just move on to the next one, casting. Dear friends, it's common for numbers to be expressed as strings when dealing with input and output. Note that, let me just give here a 5 value, okay? And what is the difference when you just give it within the codes and without the codes? How it just we can easily convert between numbers and strings using the appropriate type keywords. Let me just see it how we can using this types and casting. Okay, here is the exact example. See here, dear friends, when on just giving this value or variable, okay, what is, let me here we are giving this value 5 within the codes and it just shows as strings. And if it is the same thing without the quotes, how it just makes it? Yeah, it is an integer. And kindly just have a note of it, dear friends. Whenever you just making a value, whether it is integer or a float, if you just providing within the codes or without the codes, it means different. Okay, let me just make it with a sense. Here we are need to make an add of 5 and 7, and when we just make this by using the single quotes, and what you just expect it, this is 5 and 7, both are within the single quotes, so it seems to be the string variable or string value, not the integer type. So when on just adding this 5 and 7, it just mean for string concatenation. So here it just the answer is not 12 because here 5 and 7 are of type string and not it is in the integer. So it just makes use of the plus operator and make the concatenation of the strings. And if we want to add 5 and 7, yeah, we must first convert it into the integer. And if you see here, if I just want to make it as an integer, how it just goes? Yeah, you can just cast it. This is what we just specify, casting. So you are explicitly casting the integer of the string value 5, which is given inside the codes, and now the 5 is number. So it can be combined with other number by using the standard mathematical operation. So let me just make the same by using addition of the 5 and 7. So now if we just do the typecasting, we get the value 12. So let me just move on to the next one, the input function. Okay, dear friends, this input function is a built-in function that allows user to provide the input. So it's a little different than what we have seen so far. See, here what we are just going to give is, we want to make the preference or make the user to prompt some answer for the question you are asking. and see what is your name if it is asked. So the user, it just the exact system expecting a value from the user. Till the exact user didn't provide any answer, it just not going to extend it further. So kindly make a note of it. When we just provide this, yeah, let me make the same with an example. What is your name? Let I execute it and see. Here it is only what is your name, that's it. But when I'm just making it with the input functionality, it is just expecting some answer from the user. So the user may type anything into this provided space. Let I just make it my name. And see here, dear friends, when I'm just making this, finally when we make this enter, and whatever the user provide here, it would be assigned to the value of this string value. Kindly just have a note of it. The input can be mainly, it just gets only the string value as an input. Okay, so here when on just making this enter, and if you want to execute what is the next one, see here how it just happens. So here what we are just giving, the user has given Ajanta as the value for the variable, that is string variable name. And when on just replacing this name, that is not, it is not replacing, so it is assigning the value here, and on execution we just get it executed. And kindly just have a note of it. If on using this input variable, if an error occurs or arises when entering the code, try restarting the kernel, because restarting the kernel will erase the current memory and start each cell arises. So there is advisable if the notebook starts. Okay, let me just go for the next session. It is string indexing and slicing. So indexing and slicing are crucial part of programming. And dear friends, in data analysis or indexing and slicing data frames is very much essential to keep track of rows and columns. Okay, let me just see what is indexing here. So the character of Python string exists in specific location. In other words, their order counts. So the index in the numerical representation of where each character is located. The first character is at index 0, and the second character it would be in index 1, and the character third it would be as index 2, and so on. So we always start at 0 when on indexing. So let me just make an assignment. Dear friends, kindly have a note of it. Here we are making a string variable destination, and we have just provided the value, string value as San Francisco. And here this yes is the 0th index, and A is the first index, N is the second index, and so on. So the character of each index are accessed by using the bracket notation. So let me just make use of it. See here, dear friends, when we just want to access it, if I just give a destination of 0, destination is in the sense the string variable, and if I just give, yeah, it is as to the same the value of index 0, and it just gives the access to the data of the first index. And see here, when I'm just giving this -1, -1 is in the sense it is the reverse order. See, when I'm just making it corresponding to each and everything, it just gives you the order from the index 0. And if you want to start it in the sense of negative numbers, it just starts at the end of the string. So it makes sense to start with -1, since -0 is same as 0. So if you just going to provide 0, it would be again from the starting. So the -1 would represent the end of the string, which is just specified in reverse order. So see here, dear friends, when you just go for this -1, it would be the last string of this. So here kindly have a note on this 38th cell. It seems to be the O, and next to that of O, if you just go in the reverse order, the -2, it just shows the exact character C. Okay, let me just go with one more example. The bridge is equal to golden gate, and here the variable name, string variable name is bridge, and if you want to get access with the character 6, and see here, dear friends, here as to the same, the exact index starts from the 0, and where it just specified the 6 is the space. Okay, you may be wondering what would be, whether you did something wrong because anything there is no letter is there displayed. So kindly just don't get panic here. It just seems that a perfect fine to have an empty strings also. So in fact, an empty string is one of the most common strings in programming. Okay, next here it just comes the slicing, and see here, dear friends, a slice is a subset of a string or other elements. So a slice could be the whole element or one character, but it's more commonly a group of adjoining characters. See, let's say you want to access the fifth through 11th letter of a string. So you start at index 4 and end at index 10. And as we explained in the previous indexing section, when slicing, the colon symbol is inserted between the indices. So as for an example, see here, when we just give, yeah, we know already that is destination is San Francisco. If I just want to make from the index 14 till 11, and see here, dear friends, this fourth index is, as we know, yeah, the index starts from the 0 and 1 and 2. The third one is the space. And when coming, starting from the 4, what we just get? Yeah, from France. So F would be the starting letter until the 11. So there is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So whatever you just specify, it just makes it before that. So if you just make it as 11, yeah, till 10, it just makes the execution. And see here, if you want to make it from the beginning, yeah, you can just provide 0 to 3. And even though if you didn't provide the first one, that is, if you just want to make the first 8 letters, yeah, here it is the start cut. So you can just make use of it by as defaultly, if you want to get the first letter to till n letter of the string, yeah, you can just provide the optional as 0 indexing. And here it just shows that from 0 till 8th index. And see here, dear friends, if you just want to make the same thing from -3 till the end, see here, the -3, what it just makes? It makes the last 3 characters. So last 3 letters of the destination and makes use of it, and see only the 3 letters we need from the end. So here it is. And last but not least, you can also make use of the same thing whenever it is needed. And see here, dear friends, this negative signs means that we start with the reversing order and at the third to last letter, and the colon means here that we go to the end. So yeah, here in this session, you have just started with string syntax, and we have just gone to varieties of ways to concatenate the strings, and we looked on to usual built-in functions like including length, and examined a sample of string methods. And next we used for casted numbers also. And dear friends, next we have just made use of this input functions, which is used to access user input, and this is really extends what you can do. So responding to user feedback is a core element of programming that you will continue to develop. And finally, we have just finished with two powerful tools that developer frequently uses, that are indexing and slicing. So there is a great deal more to learn about string, and there are more additional problems and methods are also there. So next we will go for the next branching program by using conditions and booleans also. Okay, have a nice day, dear friends. Thank you. Bye.